little nervous. Like, you just don't make good decisions when your confidence is down. And I don't think it's like we're either confident or not confident. I think it's like if confidence is 100%, if our confidence is 95%, we play small.
I heard Jesse Jackson speak when I was a kid, saying that excellence is the best deterrent to racism. Excellence is the best deterrent to sexism. And so I went home and I put that on my mirror, and that really became my motto. So that in the 3rd grade, I was one of those kids that made other kids sick because I was the first one to turn in the book report, and I was the, read the most books. And I would say reading is the strongest signal for success in the future that I've ever seen. It is the strongest. I got my first job in radio when I was 16 years old, because I've been broadcasting since I was 16 years old. But my first job I got because I was a great reader. When you are a great reader, you can articulate and speak and command the English language in ways that other people cannot. And people think you're a lot smarter than you are, lots of times, because you're a great reader. I would say it's the absolute greatest foundation.
In such vastly different ways. Because if you want to achieve the results only 5% achieve, you've got to think and produce and behave like only 5% of the people on the planet. And the best people on the planet in terms of creativity and productivity are not spending their finest hours addicted to distraction. They are doing work that matters. They're not doing fake work. They're doing one rule. And what's that all about? It's pretty simple, like any great rule. For the next 90 days, spend the first 90 minutes of your workday on your single most important opportunity to move the needle in your industry. And I'll repeat that again with great respect because it's so important, I believe, to your productivity. The 90-91 rule is simply for the next 90 days, spend the first 90 minutes of your workday on your single most game-changing opportunity. Because what happens? A lot of us get to work and we spend our best hours on our least important activities. We get to work and we start checking our social feed. We get to work and we check our text. We get to work and we chit-chat at the water cooler about the latest TV show that we watched last night. And research has shown that the morning hours are when you have the most focus, when you have the most energy, and when you have the most willpower. And so you want to use that first 90 minutes, that is game time, that's show time. The second piece of technology to create exponential productivity is what I call tight bubbles of total focus. Your environment is so important. And if you look at B performers or C producers, they really don't pay a lot of attention to their environment. And so they get very distracted. There's lots of noises, their phones are going off, maybe there's news in the background, maybe there's messy environments all around them, maybe there's toxic people. What I'm suggesting to you as the second piece of technology to really 100 times your productivity is this. Install environments of tight bubbles of total focus. The way I run my work life, on certain days, I am very hard to reach. And I challenge you with great love and respect, be very hard to reach during key times of your week. I mean, I see a lot of people, and it's not judging them, it's just observing them. Every time their phone rings, they check it. Or they have, these loud notifications, so they're constantly being distracted. And we know what the research says. The research says we spend 2.1 hours a day in distraction. And it takes 21 minutes to refocus your focus after you've been distracted. So if you are being distracted by notifications, checking your phone, checking your Twitter feed, checking your Facebook feed, looking on Instagram, checking all the different platforms, that is going to destroy your focus.
So there's a field of intention. And I have a kind of steroid version of what I learned from Dr. Dyer.
Okay.
And I believe that intention needs to be consistent every day.
Okay.
Persistent without fail, without quit, and enjoyed for the pursuit of your potential, a higher vibration of the truth. Let me put this into context. If For example, I can give everyone a gift. Say thank you is the best intention that you can have. It gives you perspective, makes your past awesome, your present better, and your future brighter. 2 words, thank you. Right. So I tell people, make an intention of yours to be grateful. If you get stopped at a life, say thank you, because the universe is unraveling something and saving you, not slowing you down.
Oh, I love that.
Right? So
I need that one.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
And so I live in this intention. Now here's where you get, where people lose. Your body has cellular memory. Proven. Your mind has neural pathways, and your DNA has a memory and an energy.
Yep.
That's your core energy. If you don't do something every day consistently, this is what happens. The power of intention has an accelerator of exponential results. So we're relying on a bad system, but we need to know what we want. So if we start thinking, saying, and doing every day what we want, eventually, minimum 21 days, it'll go to our subconscious and create a neural pathway in our brain. If I want to be grateful, I do it day 1, it's X to the first power. Day 2, to X to the second, X to the third, X to the fourth. Now I go get wasted, stay out all night, and I'm an egotistic narcissist who think of others. Now it's X to the 0 power. I've now zeroed out those other days. Now I start over.
Yeah.
What happens at the end of the month is I sit there and go, wow, I did this all month. This is the way the human mind works.
Yes.
And I'm like, why don't I get the results that Dave gets?
Yes.
Well, because you zeroed it out 3 nights.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm getting to the 31st power.
You're exactly right.
And it's the same thing, like people, they're 99%ers. They don't realize how the body, mind, and
in the military does not make you a disciplined person. Being from a disciplined family does not make you a disciplined person. Being in a disciplined group does not make you a disciplined person. What makes you a disciplined person is choosing to be disciplined. So, yeah, and also as far as telling people to man up, which, you know, when someone says, how do I get up early every day? I say, get up early every day. Yeah. How do I stop eating sugar? Stop eating sugar. If that's the definition of man up, but obviously it's not just men that need discipline in their life. I don't think I use that term, but what I do tell people is to get after it. That's what I tell people, to get after it. I tell people to do the things that they know they're supposed to do. Right? There's things that you know you're supposed to do as a human being. Things that you know are going to improve your life. Do those things. There's things that you know are going to make you a worse person and make your life worse. Don't do those things. Don't do the things that are making you weaker. Start doing the things that are going to make you stronger and smarter and faster and healthier and going to make you a better human.
Any participant in any industry can get lazy when there is little change in how that industry operates. And then when there's a sudden change to how the industry operates, everybody gets angry, panics, and points a finger. I'll give you an example. Okay? I'll give you 2 examples. Example number 1. Taxi companies around the world hate Uber. Right? Now, here's the reality. The app that calls a car, not proprietary. You can call a taxi with an app, right? Paying with your phone, not proprietary. Any taxi can do that as well. The reason Uber is eating taxi companies for lunch is because it's a better product. And the taxi companies around the world could have a shitty product because you're the only game in town and we had no choice. And now you have a competitor, and instead of competing, you're getting angry. I would gladly take more cabs than call services if I got in the cab and he said hi and it was clean and I had a nice chat with him and he wasn't on the phone and he wasn't smoking and all of these things and I had some leg room. I'd gladly. It has nothing to do with the app, the pay mechanism. It has to do with the fact that Juno and Lyft are just better. It's just a better experience, better product. That's why I take them. It costs $1 more. Whatever, I'll pay for it. It's not even a price thing. I have no idea if it's cheaper or more expensive. I actually have never compared. The same goes for Starbucks, right? So there was a lot of people hate Starbucks because they put mom and pops out of business, right? The reality is the complete opposite. That when Starbucks moves into a neighborhood, mom and pops coffee shops actually do better for 2 reasons. 1, Starbucks attracts more customers, so there's just more people. And the second reason is there is a groundswell of giving back to the local, and so more people go to the mom and pop, right? The ones that go out of business, the ones that refuse to compete. I'll give you a real life example. This goes back a few years. A real life example. I'm lactose intolerant, right? So I don't have milk in my coffee. And there was a time where it wasn't a foregone conclusion that every coffee shop had soy milk or almond milk or something. So I would always go into the mom and pop that was across the street from Starbucks, always go into the mom and pop and I'd say, do you guys have any soy milk? And they go, nope. I go like, thank you. And I would walk out. Those went out of business because I went to Starbucks. He's right, I went to Starbucks. Now, had Starbucks moved in and they went across the street and said, let's see what Starbucks has, we should offer soy milk. Maybe it's time for us to replace this ripped couch that we've had for 15 years because it's really nice across there and it's really gross here. It's the ones who got angry and refused to compete that went out of business. I think retail's the same. Everybody's pointing fingers instead of saying, we've had it really good for a bunch of years. And the question is now, what is our competitor revealing about our own weaknesses that we can learn to improve? Because that's what competition does. Competition reveals your weaknesses to you. And when you had no competition, you didn't know where you were weak. This is the problem with being the best at anything. Because you don't know where your faults are, and then somebody undermines you because they can see your faults.
Spanx is in all the top retail stores. I meet people all the time that say, how in the world did you get into Neiman's and Saks? And I say, I called them. And they just look at me. They say, well, didn't you go to trade shows? I've been going to trade shows for 7 years, hoping that a Neiman's buyer walks by. I didn't know enough to do that, and it ended up being a blessing. So I always encourage people to think outside of the box. The way it's always been done isn't necessarily the way it should be done. And oftentimes what's inside of you is a better way of going about it. And so some of the things I contribute my success to, believe it or not, number one is failure. I had always wanted to be a lawyer, and I failed the LSAT, basically. So Spanx would not exist if I had not failed the LSAT. And at that moment in my life, it was the most devastating thing, but I have realized that failure is nothing more than life's way of nudging you and letting you know that you're not on the right path. So here I am because of that. And the second thing is visualization. I visualized this for myself. When I was selling copiers door to door, I had a very clear vision of what my life was going to be like. And I encourage everyone to do it. Take a snap photo of what success looks like for you. How many employees do you have? How much are you making? Where do you live? Are you sitting at a table with world leaders? Are you standing on a stage in New York City giving a speech? And hold on to that snapshot, and you will subconsciously start to make decisions that get you there. And so my snap photo for myself when I was going door to door to sell copiers was to be self-employed, invent a product that I could sell to lots of people and not just one copier to each person, and create a business for myself that would continue to fund itself if I wasn't present. I wanted money to be generated without me having to be there. I was that specific.
Diversity is the pathway to richness. Diversity is the pathway to richness. And I mean diversity in two forms: the people in your life and the experiences of your life. And without that diversity, I'm so concerned in our culture today that I see us become more and more tribal, less and less diverse, both in our friendships and our relationships. We don't talk to each other, we talk at each other. And more we hang around people just like us, don't we? And they kind of reinforce our beliefs and our way of living, and we just kind of go in this circle. It feels good. It's like eating cake. It feels really good, but it doesn't grow us. And then the second thing is the lack of diverse experiences that we're giving ourselves access to. And so I looked up diversity, by the way, in the dictionary, and basically it means variety. We've all heard the saying that variety is the spice of life. And I know during this time with COVID and the global pandemic and high unemployment and political polarization and all the things that are happening, most people say, hey, life ain't so spicy right now. And I want to bring some spice back to your life, and you can do it for free on no budget. That spice, that variety, comes through diversity. So the experience that I had this week that I wanted to share with you, and I can only talk about it for a few minutes because every time I get going, I can't finish sentences. But I dropped my son off at college yesterday, and can't do it. Sorry. My boy left me yesterday because it hit me much harder than I thought it would, and it's hitting me even harder again today. And I think one of the reasons is that I liked our kind of lack of variety, our lack of diversity. I had him under my roof every single day. But what I keep reminding myself of is how amazing these next 4 years can be for my son. Why? Because he's about to have the most diverse experience of his lifetime, isn't he? He's already meeting people that he didn't grow up around, people from different backgrounds, different countries, different economics situations, different religions. He's going to be introduced to different ways of thinking. He's going to have decisions and choices to make, good and bad, isn't he, during these years? But any of you that went to college or have sent a child off to college, it's 4 of the best years of most people's lives. Why? It's the most diverse years of their life. So if that's true for Max, I got to be excited for him, don't I? As emotional as I am for myself. But it's also true for you. It's true for me. There's a direct correlation and connection between the amount of diversity in our life, variety, and how happy we are, how much we're growing. By the way, how wealthy you'll get too. And so when I dropped Max off, I want to tell you first about making decisions. I said, Max, you're going to have a lot of decisions you're going to have to make in your life when you're here for the first time. And when I say diversity and variety and chase diversity and variety, I don't mean things that you are knowingly aware of could be harmful to you. So when you're offered a drug or a particular drink or some situation or decisions you got to make, Max, there's only 2 things you need to remember. So this is the next thing I'd have you all write down. I said, Max, you need to remember who you are as a man, your identity, and number 2, what you stand for. And if every decision comes your way, you just remind yourself, who am I and what do I stand for? And is this choice, this decision consistent with that? Then you'll make the right decision. And I know that for a fact. By the way, for you in your life, who are you and what do you stand for? And have you been living that way recently? Because I think you love all people. I think you want to chase experiences. I think you want memories and moments in your life and you want to be happier. All of that is in this place that most of us avoid as we get older, which is new things, diverse things, different people, different ways of thinking. You're taught in the world right now, aren't you, man? These people are different. They're your enemy. Everybody in the world, both the left political party and the right political party, will tell you, your life's messed up because of these people. It's not your fault, it's their fault. Both parties do it, right? It's interesting. So many people say, you don't know what it's like to be me. But they seem to be an expert on what it's like to be you. Maybe those of you that think you're an expert on what it's like to be somebody else, or you've got an opinion about somebody's life, ask yourself if you've walked in their shoes. Ask yourself if you've had their experiences. And if you haven't, why don't you start to get to know people like that? And maybe your opinion could evolve or change. Or at least you'd have an experience, wouldn't you, that's unique and different than the one you're having with the same 3, 4, 5 people you talk to that go to the same 3, 4.
Before.
Yeah.
Why is that so important?
Well, because I think, in all the big decisions you've had to make along your way, have you ever made a good decision when your confidence was down? Once. Like, can you say I walked in, my head was down, your physiology's changed, you're like a little nervous. Like, you just don't make good decisions when your confidence is down. And I don't think it's like we're either confident or not confident. I think it's like if confidence is 100%, if our confidence is 95%, we play smaller. I know with me, like, big opportunities come. If I'm not in that like space, I'm like, you know what, guys, let's hold, let's not, like, I won't make smart decisions. So I think we have to do everything in our power to protect our confidence. So that theory of protecting your confidence has been a major thing in my head always. In fact, I have we all have our own morning routines. Maybe not everybody, but I have a morning routine that I have to do to get me to play. The way I look at it is play offense for the day, not play defense with lower confidence.
What does that look like?
I've tried a lot of variations, and for me, it's if I immediately when I wake up, I can't check my phone. In fact, I put it on airplane mode and I move it. I got that from Ariana Huffington, who's amazing, and she's like, "Is your phone still by your bed?" She goes, "Airplane mode on the other side of the room," you know. So that, and then I just know so many people roll over and grab their phone, and to me that's like Russian roulette. You put a bullet in the gun and you spin it. It's like, what if the email says the deal didn't happen, numbers are down, life's not working out? Like, and immediately for me, it's like you open up and this little box is gonna dictate the first couple hours or maybe the whole day by what you see. So I just won't look at my phone when I first wake up. But when I first open my eyes, this is all, and I like doing things quick for me because I want to get to the gym because it's the only time of day I'll go. If I try to wait till the afternoon, it doesn't work for me. So as soon as I wake up, I immediately try to think of something I'm grateful for, which everybody knows that and thinks about it, but I play this game with myself on how far I can lower the bar, meaning I tried to do a gratitude journal about 3 years ago, and after about 5 weeks, I ran out of stuff to say. I'm like, I already wrote my kids and this and life, like, what did I put in here? Like, and then I was like, wow, 150,000 people die every single day. You can Google it, that's the number. It's like, some days I wake up and just like, I'm here, awesome. And I feel that silly little thing like I'm here. Or I'll be like, oh my God, the sheets feel softer than they've ever felt. And I'll literally think to myself, these sheets are really good. Like, what, a third of the world sleeps on a dirt floor? And I have sheets and an amazing bed, and look at the view I have. And that's enough, just because the way I look at it is I'm just tweaking my brain enough to be in a grateful place. It doesn't have to be this, for me, and you guys might have better practices. I'm not talking about a half-hour gratitude meditation. I just need one little thing, or I pick up a book. If I'm reading one of the books that you have on the shelf, I'll pick 3 sentences and read something empowering, and I'll get that state of mind from my brain. And then I think about one win I had the day before. Because I know as entrepreneurs, as somebody searching for success, we never give ourselves credit. We never treat a friend the way we treat ourselves. It's like, I know I've had days I've gone till 10 o'clock at night and go, man, I got nothing done today. It's the biggest lie. Like, we beat ourselves up. We're like these racehorses. We wouldn't even treat a racehorse that we owned as bad as we treat ourselves, right? So I wake up and I'll do a quick little gratitude, and they'll say, what was one win yesterday that I accomplished? And I'm like, wow, you did do that yesterday. And then I'll think of one win I want to do that day. Like, what, I'm gonna need a million things done today, but what's a must today that would be a great win?